up to our big story of the night. And we found this story by going out and having a community conversation out on the east side at the Church of the Messiah. You know Pastor Barry Randolph, who runs that church. Well, we were doing this community meeting and talking to people who lived in the neighborhood saying, look, what stories do we need to cover? What are some of the issues that most concern you? And what are the things that we need to be focused on, and what should we be listening to? And it was interesting because Pastor Barry said that a lot of his congregation is made up of young African American men. And that's a group of people in the city of Detroit that we don't hear from often, Nolan, when we talk about, what do you think of Detroit's resurgence and the change and what's happening in the neighborhoods? We don't often hear from them.
Yeah, no. And, you think about some of the stories, it does drive home the fact that once you're down, or if you start down, how hard it is to get up and all of the obstacles you face. I mean, many of the young men that we're talked to here already have 2 or 3 kids themselves. So how do you pull yourself up and out when you have those kind of responsibilities and those sort of challenges to meet? I think about my own life. I mean, started out very meager means, with my family and what have you, but I had help. I had a family structure. And what seemed to be missing in a lot of these young men's story is that family structure.
Well, and there's also opportunity as well, and the availability
the lack of opportunity in these neighborhoods. When you get outside of downtown and midtown and talk about what people are able to connect to lift them out of poverty, you're talking about strands, right? Very thin strings that still exist. And black males in the city will tell you about that. They will tell you about how hard it is to get an education. They will tell you about how hard it is to get training and then to get a job after that training, even when they're making the effort. One of the things that comes across in this piece, and I think echoes across the city, is this idea of them being forgotten, right? Left behind as so much of the rest of the city moves forward. There isn't this concerted effort to make sure that the opportunity exists.
And not seeing a path.
Right.
I mean,
it's seeing a path, and I think what's also interesting is you hear from some of these young men talking about, the day-to-day, and everyone can fight about politics down at City Hall or even up in Lansing or even in Washington, but still I'm faced with what my daily life is and where am I going to seek the help.
Just trying to survive.
And where am I going to find that help? So Pastor Barry was good enough to ask some of these young men, hey, do you want to sit down and do you want to talk about your stories? Do you want to share what's happened in your life? And we really appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that and to listen to hear what they have to say. So our One Detroit producer, Will Glover, went out to the Church of the Messiah and he sat down with some young men and heard what they had to say. Take a look.
So the children are going to be leading us.
We're in the basement at the Church of Messiah for a meeting hosted by community development advocates of Detroit. One group was noticeably absent, the young men that make up 60% of Pastor Barry's congregation.
We have a lot of young black men in this church, a lot of young ones. On purpose, they are not in this room. They don't want to have a conversation with adults per se. They want to have their conversation among themselves because they always feel as though that somebody will attack them. Somebody will criticize them for having an opinion, and they don't want to do the back and forth. They want to get to the issues. They want to be part of the solutionaries, but they want to be heard and respected and validated for what it is they believe and how they feel without judgment.
We went back to Pastor Barry, who assured the cautious young men that they wouldn't be judged and could trust us with their story, with their voices.
You doing stuff, you trying to do the right thing and bad stuff still happening, like it'd be the equivalent of standing at like the bottom of a mountain and everything you needed was at the top. You can't stay down here and it's gonna be hard as hell getting up there, but you gotta do it.
I've never stayed in the house for a whole year, my whole life. Months, and then I'm moving with somebody else. I have no more grandmothers. They're gone. I have nowhere to go. My mom and dad, they're still together. They just got the kids sticking. I can't do nothing about it. Now I have 2 kids. I'm trying to figure out what I can do. He's the only one that's been blessing me and helping me, and Pastor Barry. I don't have nothing. I don't know. I'm very, very stressed out.
Like I can be flipping some chicken, working. Then you see everybody in the lobby just run outside. Then you go like, what's going on? You see somebody just get shot up at the gas station. And it was the only reason I'm working there because that's the only job I could find. And it was like, ain't really no jobs in the city. So of course it's gonna be a job in like the roughest place. So, you know, I'm sticking it through there, but at the same time, I see so much stuff that is changing my character and changing, like, my view of the world.
But it's clear these young men are acutely aware of their position in society. It's essential to navigating the realities of their daily lives.
Me personally, I don't really speak on what happens in the neighborhood, what happens in politics, school, anything, or religion, because at the end of the day, what does it really have to do with me if y'all still not putting no real food in my mouth, no real job, no money in my pockets? I still got to get out here and strive and slave and do whatever I got to do to make my next dollar, no matter if it's something legal or illegal, and that's sad.
The leaders, they're too out of touch. They don't really understand the real issues, and they're not proximate to the problems that people are really dealing with. And a lot of leaders don't want to be. And if you're not close to the problem, if you're not proximate to the issue that's going on, you're not really in a position to be able to change it or to really help and understand.
After our talk at the Church of Messiah, we spent a day with 24-year-old Dwight Roston. Today, he's making deliveries for Nikki's Ginger Tea, a company started in the basement of the Church of Messiah.
Not only does the general American's voice not matter because it's just billionaires versus everybody else now, but on top of that, I'm black. So everybody else who is excluded out of the whole billionaire club, they still look at me like, you know, you're not even in our club.
Right. Do you think that's part of the problem with like what the narrative of Detroit's comeback and all that type of stuff is?
It's not really inclusive. It's not even that, the whole gentrification thing, because I think that's just misunderstood. It's real, but you gotta look at it as what it is. It's not really people taking over, it's just people moving somewhere and building a bubble that only includes them. That's what being a real Detroiter is about, honestly. It's about knowing that more than likely, everybody else who has a job that their job is supposed to represent you, they're probably gonna not do that job. And you still have to do your job on top of that.
You said you have 3 daughters? So how do you feel when you're thinking about their future in the city? What do you hope for? What are you afraid of?
I definitely hope that they grow up in a place where opportunity is just abundant, you know, because me just experiencing what I experienced growing up and just trying to get jobs, trying to find resources to do things that you're interested in, trying to find programs, anything like that. It's always just extremely scarce, or it's a financial issue. I never want them to not chase a dream or to not, you know, go for a goal or something like that because it's too expensive or that because it's just not available.
When you have a system set up like the way we have here in the United States that sends kids to school for 12 years for a ridiculous amount of hours trained to become factory workers, they don't learn to value themselves. They don't learn to value what they do. And at that point, they don't learn to value what other people do because those people don't value what they do. This is created because of these lack of resources, because of this lack of incentive to go out there and do things. Kids want to improve their lives. I don't know a single person that doesn't want to actively make something better than what they have.
Despite their challenges, they still hold out hope.
At what point on this mountain are you now?
Metaphorically speaking, there are several mountains, you know? The whole racial mountain, I don't think we'll ever get to the top of that. As far as the mountain for my parenthood thing, I'm pretty much on top of that. And then business and everything else is in between. But it's not necessarily the mountain from going, it's not making it to the top of the mountain. It's the person you become as you're going up the mountain, which is really important because nobody lives on top of a mountain. You still got to come back down sometimes.
And we want to let you know that this story was made possible by the Detroit Journalism Engagement Fund, which is a project of the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan that's working to increase quality journalism and to help better inform communities. You know, that was a lot, I think, to take in, and it was really compelling to listen to and to take a moment and say, wow, sometimes we don't really understand some of the struggles that people are facing, and especially day to day.
Yeah, no, I mean, you have to get out and talk to folks in the neighborhoods in the city to see that stuff. And if you are, And I'm fortunate enough now to be pretty involved in the neighborhood where I was born, which is not that different from Islandview, where Pastor Barry is doing his work. You hear these stories and you see what they look like in people's lives every day, and you really start to understand how much work we still have to do to build the opportunity for people to get beyond that it's not one thing, it's a whole host of things that need to change in order for that to look different in those communities.
You got to first repair your human resources. You have to prepare young men like these to be able to take advantage of opportunities. Simply throwing in the opportunities. I mean, we've got $10 billion in construction work going on in this city right now. There's plenty of opportunity. We've got to make sure
people are
the
prepared
folks
for
who are
it,
here can exploit that opportunity, and that's been the disconnect.
Yeah, well, we want to thank Pastor Barry and the young men at the Church of the Messiah for sitting down and trusting us to be able to articulate how they feel about the future and what their place is in the city of Detroit.